Over the last year, 2 years, we've seen an increase with all of you out in the field, running into people that are inside your station, unannounced, becoming combative when you're dealing with them out in the field. And through that process and talking with each of you, something became really obvious to me, and that was a lack of understanding on the criminal justice process, and what you can do to protect yourself in that process and what needs to be done to protect you. So in those thoughts, decided to develop a new policy, and we titled it Procedures on for Firefighters Assaulted on Duty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this and give you an idea of why those different sections are in there and what they do to give you the best support that they can and hopefully give you the best understanding. And then we're also going to send the policy out, and we'll do some additional training out in the field on it so that those that are going to have to manage it will understand what the steps are and where they live inside those different steps of this process. So in the first part, what I did is I added the definition, a section on what an assault is by the criminal code and what an aggravated assault is by the criminal code, so that you have an understanding of that. Because in talking to you, many times that seems to not be clear, and I completely get it, because it's in the criminal code and we don't all spend time reading criminal code. So how does that affect you, and what happened to you is that fall under the criminal code? The most important part of this that I want you to understand, and we have to thank the legislature for it, is there is a section under the aggravated assault code, and I believe it's 7C. And in that, it now covers firefighters, fire investigators, fire inspectors, or paramedics that are engaged in the execution of their official duties. So if something happens to you, and for the longest time what it was is if a police officer was involved in something and it was an assault, and then they ended up arresting and prosecuting that person because they assaulted a police officer that was in uniform, engaging in their official duties, that was increased now to an aggravated assault, simply for that reason. Well, now under this code, simply for the reason of you being a firefighter engaged in your official duties, that then becomes an aggravated assault. The other thing, and this came straight from the Volume 1 committee, and it made a lot of sense why we wanted to add it in and explain it to you, and that was when you're out there with these guys, many times they try to get blood on you, they spit at you, they try to bite you and get saliva on you. Those things seem to be what happens more often than not. And so what we did is we added a category in here so that you could see that bloodborne pathogens or fluids, how that affects you in the criminal charging. If somebody spits at you, that becomes an aggravated assault. If they've got blood on them and they try to throw that on you and affect you with that, that becomes an aggravated assault. So I think that's really significant for that to be in there, and for you should be very comforting that it is in there too. So now we have a process of what is going to happen if in fact you are assaulted. And what it will start out is, if the firefighter is involved in an on-duty incident where they are assaulted, they will immediately advise their company officer. And that's important for you to do that. The company officer then will determine the extent of the injuries and exactly what needs to be done as far as is there going to be medical treatment or are the injuries minor enough that the firefighter or any one of our members that are engaged in this can go back into service. That will all be determined by the company officer. Once everything is controlled and the firefighter's been evaluated and there's a determination of where this will go from that point, the company officer then will be required to notify the battalion chief. The battalion chief then is required to notify the shift commander, and then the shift commander is going to notify the district commander and the operations assistant chief. And the reason this is in here is so that there is a knowledge for everybody. If one of our people are being assaulted, I don't want that to be swept under the rug. Chief Kalkbrenner does not want that to be swept under the rug. We don't want that to be forgotten. We want to take care of that, and we want to serve you the very best that we can to make sure that you're protected and that you're supported in this whole process of this. So the other thing in this, which you need to remember, is if that happens to you, you need to assist the PD in the report. Make sure you help them, give them the statement that they need to make that report that's going to support what happens in the further process in the criminal justice system with this particular individual. They'll do all that paperwork for you, but you need to give that statement so they have a clear understanding of what happened to you. We were also working with Tech Services, and thank you to them for their help in this. They helped make a violent incident report form for us that the company officer will complete that report form. And it has all the information. It's not real difficult to fill it out, but what it is, it's now a notification process. So once that company officer fills out that report form and submits that, and it's all in the system, it can be found at FirePoint. And then what it does is the individual that's doing it goes to the fire prevention investigation section, and then that'll take you to the Homeland section, and then the assault reporting form will be right in that category. Once that's done, it's through the SharePoint process, it's then disseminated to all the other people that need to know what is happening. So the workflow process for that is it's going to go to the safety chief, it's going to go to the member services chief, and I think it's important for you to understand, member services does an incredible job for all of our members. They're there for you all the time, but we need to let them know. If this happens and something happens where you get assaulted, we need to let them know so they can provide that service that they do so well at for you. So also, that workflow process takes it to the Office of Special Investigations, which is going to be Mike Perry and Bill Clark. Those guys will then engage in this process to help you out also. So additionally, what we ask is that the member services chief contacts, or through whoever he is assigned, contacts our member that has been involved in this assault within the first 24 hours. And that way, if you have questions, if you have needs, then they're there like they always are. Now they know they're going to be there to give you whatever support that they can give you through that part of the process. Additionally, within 24 hours, we ask the Office of Special Investigations to reach out and contact you. And what we're trying to do is make this seamless so that you have an understanding what happens next or where the process goes next. That seems to be kind of a dark spot too. A lot of the guys are concerned where they go, what they do, what's going to happen next because they don't have that understanding. That's what the investigators over at the Office of Special Investigations will do. They're going to help guide you through that dark part of the process that you don't know about. What happens next? If you need to go to interviews, they'll be there to help you with that so you're not lost. The whole part of this is to provide you as much assistance and support as possible within this. And then what we did, the final part of this policy, is we added a section in there explaining all the steps of the process, this legal process. Once this happens, what goes next, why they do what they do, what the county attorney or whatever the prosecuting attorney's office is going to be, what they do in the process, in the prosecution, in the determination of what charges are going to be filed. All of those things, we explain that there. So you have that as kind of a handbook for you and a go-to. I hope it works for you. I hope it serves you well. And again, we did this strictly for you, to give you as much support as we possibly can, because we care. And I hope you find that it does that for you. And again, at any point you have any questions, reach out to me. Let me know how it's working for you, and if there's any glitches or if there's something else that we need to look at and do for you in this process, we will definitely do it. Thank you. Appreciate it.